I resonated with so much of what you talked about, and I'm sure that everyone here has so many things they could relate to. What I think I really want to dig into in the few minutes that we have is the culture aspect of things. You've experienced it in so many kind of different formats and talk about it so eloquently. I was wondering, as someone with a side hustle, probably, right, working on their own stuff, and they're in a day job, probably don't love. You said to question the rules. Any tips on questioning the rules when you're not the one making the rules, or allowing, kind of shedding the light on your boss, your manager, to be able to say, I want a results-only work environment, or I want work-from-home options?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard. I think the thing that I've realized is that oftentimes you just really have to know who your manager or boss are and what resonates with them. So there's some managers that don't give a crap about like human interest, warm, fuzzy stuff. They just want graphs. If you can show them examples of other companies that have increased their revenue by moving to this type of work environment, they'll respond to that. There are other people that definitely respond to the warm, fuzzy stuff, the stories about how this positively impacts people's lives. And I think, the number one thing, and this is something that actually Seth Godin talks about a lot, is that do something that will make your manager look good and let them take the credit for it. So get permission to test something small, have it work well, because it probably will, and then let them run with the credit. And you'll get what you want, and they'll let you do more, and it doesn't matter that they're the person running with the credit, because you're actually ending up getting what you want.
Oh, that's so smart. And as I'm a solopreneur. I have some freelancers that work with me, but everyone here in the audience is probably in various aspects of that. How do you suggest someone trying to figure out their own company culture for their own company, whether it's just them or whether they're working with freelancers or a few other people under them?
Yeah. So I think the top thing that I always think about when I think about people founding their own companies is stories of entrepreneurs who founded companies that they then ended up hating to work for. Like they built the company and then they couldn't stand working there. And Tony Hsieh from Zappos is the perfect example of this. Part of the whole reason he focused on culture at Zappos was because in his first company, he realized one Monday morning he didn't want to go to work at his own company. So Tony actually did a really great exercise with a group of us. I went out to Zappos while I was still at Girl Scouts to learn about their culture, which is one of the catalysts for me changing a lot of things. And we were at a barbecue, and we had to walk into the barbecue, and at the barbecue write our 3 top personal values on our name tag. And later on in the evening, I'm talking to Tony, and I'm lamenting all of these challenges at Girl Scouts, and he says to me, well, how much do you trust the people at Girl Scouts? And I was really confused, and I'm like, well, in general, I don't really have a lot of trust. And he's like, and how much energy do the people at Girl Scouts have? And I'm like, what? You're reading my name tag. And I was like, yeah, they don't have that much energy. And he is like, how curious are they? And I was like, well, in general, on the whole, they're not really that curious. And he was like, right. So you just told me that the place that you work doesn't match the 3 top values that you have. What are you doing working there? And I went home and cried. But if you do that in advance and you think about that in advance and really think through what do you value and what type of place do you want to build, you're much more likely to end up building something that you actually want to get up and go to work at every single day.
Any advice in finding and narrowing down your values? Sometimes that's just such like a big scary thing for people to even look at.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when I've done sort of like big mapping things, just, really like mapping out everything that comes to mind and then just like, I don't know, kind of feeling it out and thinking about, I've thought a lot about what did I value as a kid? What do I love doing as a kid? Like what's always been important to me? Like curiosity was on that list because I really feel like if people lose curiosity, that drives so many other things in terms of how an organization grows. And to me personally, I feel like if I ever stop being curious, that's it. Like I'm done. So I really, that's at the top of my list.
Oh, I love that. So I know too, you didn't really talk about this in your speech, but you are someone that's passionate about women in tech.
Yeah.
And not to gender stereotype, but I'm a woman, so I'm allowed to say this, and I work primarily with women. And I feel like that work-life balance piece is a real big women's issue. Is there any sort of suggestions or advice that you could give these women who are wearing all of these hats and have so many responsibilities in order for them to feel like they're present at work and they're present at home and their heads aren't about to explode?
Well, I mean, I think the first like big challenge is trying to get this away from being a woman's issue and really turning it into an issue of how do you help every employee, male and female, have a fulfilling and meaningful life at work and at home, and trying to move the conversation in that direction, because what we found with all of our employees at Girl Scouts was that it mattered to everyone. It mattered to the moms just as much as it mattered to the dads. And I think in some ways, you know, it's a difficult conversation because women oftentimes do feel like they're being discriminated against in a way because they're maybe asking for things that other people haven't asked for yet. And it's something that I definitely do run across, I think, with, you know, early stage startups that haven't thought about like maternity leave yet because they were a group of 8 guys and now all of a sudden there's a woman, and like that's a question that hasn't come up. So, you know, but I think from a personal level in terms of managing that on a day-to-day basis, I think it's just, you know, being really honest about like when you need to say no and when you need to schedule time for yourself. I mean, that's an important lesson that I really had to learn in terms of like managing my own calendar and just saying like, there are a couple days a week where I take no meetings. And if someone asks for like a meeting on that day, my answer is no. Like I'm busy, I'll say I'm not available, even though if you look at my calendar, there's nothing on it. And it's those types of things that like making that choice, even though I feel really guilty, like I feel so guilty about it all the time, but I know that I can't make a different choice and still be like a human being.
I always say if we try to find the time, it's not falling from the sky. We have to make it. So now I'm echoing. That's fantastic. Were there any other questions from the audience? Do we have time? I don't know where we're at with time. We're behind. So are we wrapping it up? We'll wrap it up.
Good.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.